Hello, everyone. Welcome to Arbitrage Trade. I am Royce Wells, and it is April 21st, 2024. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the halving. So, the name of the seminar is Be Thankful for What You Have. A lot of people are not very grateful most of the time for what they get and what they have in life. So, let's make sure that, we at least touch on that in the stock market, in the crypto market, and then for an exchange market to make sure that we always, take profit and be grateful for what we have or thankful for what we have. So approaching this halving, a lot of people speculated that Bitcoin would increase in value due to um, the halving, the reward system that's on the coins for mining the coins will become more scarce, making it less probable for someone to actually acquire Bitcoin. So basically, it's half as rewarding to mine Bitcoin as it previously was. So that didn't impact the supply. It didn't even impact the demand, but it was definitely something that the media talked about. So let's talk about what's going on now after this halving and what is actually happening to the Bitcoin market. We're going to start on our weekly chart first, and I'll explain what we're seeing and what we have seen. So on our weekly chart, about I want to say March 4th, we saw these dollar signs when it was topping out about 73,000 or so. A lot of people speculated that it would continue on and would continue going. So about 2 months later, which is where we are now, it's about $9,000 cheaper than it was back then. So basically, it shaved about a 13 or so percent from the very top where it was. The problem is basically we ran out of probability in our arbitrage band on our weekly time frame, which was signaled by our Atlas indicator that showed these dollar signs, warning us that a top was near and then letting us know that we had missed the top by the time we saw this second green dollar sign. The only thing that makes this slightly worse is the fact that our Atlas is set to our advanced band. So it's looking at a large amount of candles on this weekly time frames, and it basically gave that dollar sign. Notice previously it hadn't given dollar signs until around November of 2023, which is when the US stock market rally began. And so from that point, we also got a, hey, we're going to push back, the campus pushed back over and said, no, it's not over. We can continue this trend. And our RSI line continued to go up using our control indicator. And with that being said, it allows us to go further and further and further up. Well, we reached a fever pitch where we reached these dollar signs again. And this time we stayed outside. We went more than pushed our luck. We went outside and was outside of probability for a good 3 weeks because this is a weekly chart. And each one of these candles represent a week. So 3 weeks we were out of probability and it's hung up there. Well, if you hang up there too long, basically you have to pay the piper, and that usually means a mean reversion or somewhere near a mean reversion. But don't start panicking just yet. When it started to fall about 2 weeks ago, we got just like this pushed us into an uptrend by the compass line going back over that black RSI line, even though it said take profit. It also said, hey, we're oversold, but it pushed us just enough to get us into a sell trend on this same candle. So while we were falling, it had to pull back up, but it's still overly directed to a downward direction. So that's where we're going, and that's where it looks like we're heading. So now the next question is, where and how low will we go? So if you're watching this right now, we have a trend bottom that's sitting at about 63,924, while the trend is sitting at 65,900. That is a very, very narrow range for this trend. So basically about a $2,000 range, if that. And so that means it looks like it's doing a little bit of a topping motion. That topping motion usually is not a good thing because if you're not going up, that means you're probably going down. I will say this, though, because of the last 3 weeks of down, we do see that probability has expanded and said that we could possibly reach about 78,917. Once again, that's not 100,000, but that is something that is probable Not sure if it's possible at this point in time. Or rather, it's possible, it may not be probable at this time, because overall, the overarching trend has changed to a sell trend. Looking at this, we have support right around 55,706. This is our first line of support. And if the candles can hold that valuation over the next few weeks / months, then we may be able to get our next leg up and see higher valuations for Bitcoin. If not, however, basically our last line of defense sits at about 53,668. If that were to happen, then basically it's time to abandon ship and see where we're going. The next support under that, the next nearest support under that 53,000 valuation is roughly 43,961 as of the date of this recording. But let's go look at the shorter time frames and smaller time frames and see if there's more support overall or overarching, shall we? Looking at the daily time frame, you see that topping motion that basically it's been having since it topped out near that 73,000 valuation. We see that the black line was at the very top of our arbitrage band, went to the danger zone / the deflection zone, and then everything started saying it was dancing buy, sell, but overall sell. And right now, if you've been following and you've used our charts before, let me focus on this just a little bit more to show you what I'm seeing. The trend top is the thick red line that's at the top, and the trend bottom is the thick green line at the bottom. This trend top and trend bottom has to cross over the moving average in order to give us probability of more up or more down. Anytime we see that basically it starts to eclipse the moving average, that's not a good thing, because that means probability now has the potential to cross under or over that line. So now, since on the daily time frame we're under our RSI line, I do not think we'll be able to see 67,103 anywhere in the near future, but that is the ultimate top at this point, even if probability did expand. We're sitting underneath the compass line and underneath the momentum line and underneath the RSI line, which creates a lots of resistance since we're underneath, and probability doesn't have any probability from our lower time frames of getting over there without breaking the system. So with that being said, our next point or decision point in this system is that blue line potentially crossing underneath this middle mean line of our arbitrage band. If the trend bottom, which it has so far, it's about $300 above that mean line value, that means it should find some support there. But because probability is thinning out and basically the moves that Bitcoin is making is also getting smaller, we need a little bit of volatility to expand us either up or down. And whichever direction it moves first, I'm expecting it to be a knee-jerk reaction. If it bounces up first, then we're going down. If it bounces down first and really hard, then there's a potential that it will bounce and try to basically expand, allowing probability of the trend top to get back above that black line to give us more up. So keep your eye on the ball or on the candle or on this band for future gains or losses in this cryptocurrency. Looking at our dash indicator, we see that basically in order for the buy trend, the buy is in danger currently for our novice band and our intermediate band, which means that basically the candles are too far from the mean line of the novice band and the intermediate band. If I turn on the novice band and show you what that means, that roughly means that from where we are, this line is running out of space in this novice band, which means these candles are still being drawn to it to basically save the trend. Because of all of this sideways motion, it has allowed the RSI line in the novice band to slowly drift into the danger zone. And if we don't get any more sideways motion, it will collide with the side of this band. So in order to stop that collision, we have to go back and touch that 63,319 area and hold there for a minute to allow us to find support and potentially continue rising. However, there is a bigger threat because the intermediate band is also facing the same challenge. Looking at the intermediate band in the system, we see that once again, these candles are pretty far from that center purple line. And being that way, that means this light blue line is on a crash course with the edge of this dark purple. So in order to stop that from happening, these candles and that line must meet somewhere in the middle, which means a valuation somewhere around that 54,332 to make life and the system stay in balance. So from there, watch very closely Bitcoin, because while everyone wants up, look for your opportunity to potentially get in near that 54,000 valuation. Let's go take a look at Ethereum to see how it's faring in all of this. Ethereum seems to be faring just a little bit better, but it still has some way to go. The intermediate band still says it needs 2893 to get there. So it means there is still about a 400 or about a 12 or 13% rebalance in this guy on the daily time frame before it will allow it to continue to go up. In a perfect scenario, we want to see this buy and danger hit around that 2893 and see an O underneath, which should allow us to bounce. So looking at this, basically watch Ethereum very closely. If Bitcoin's falling, then more than likely Ethereum should also be falling. Let's go take a look at Sol USD, because it has had some good and it has had some bad. It touched that light blue line very nicely and bounced very nicely. But once again, it found support because the trend bottom was sitting right on top of that line. And as long as that is true, we basically will go up. Now the question is there probability from the trend top to cross back over the blue line to give us more up on Sol USD in the very near term? Doesn't look like it so far. We're pretty close to it. A 156 possibly being the top out value for it, and it's currently sitting at about 148. So if there is a nice pull up, make sure that you take that opportunity to take profit. Also looking at our dash indicator, we do see that 122.85 is a point of contention for this. And so that basically means nearly underneath or right at this cyan line, which is 127.41, it has to actually get lower than that blue line to allow the buy trend to successfully succeed. But as you can see, the tides are slowly turning. The RSI band and the arbitrage band are slowly turning red and saying there's a high probability of more red. Going back to our arbitrage band on this time frame, we should see that basically we're underneath, and the compass line once again is dancing with that trend top. And basically, as it continues to fall or rise, we want to see if the blue line will drift underneath the orange line to create the next part of the downtrend, or if it will actually hold. So once again, it's only possible an uptrend if the trend top and trend bottom have made it over the moving average. And so far, it looks like it's trying it. The last 4 days for Sol USD, it has picked itself up from about 131 all the way up to 148, 149, maybe 154, but so far has not been able to push past that. But there is a chance, since the trend top is above that mean line. We'll continue to watch Sol USD to see where we're going next. Meanwhile, Link USD, waiting for this guy to show. Basically, he's staying in a nice safe range. Looking at this guy, he has support somewhere near the $10 to $12 range. So $12.76, $12.14, $13. Looks like a very good support with a top out value near about $15 or so. So we're looking at the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour time frame, and the tops on each one of those time frames each get to weigh in on where they think it's going to stop. And currently, it's saying somewhere around 1550-ish should be the very top for Link USD, and the bottom for the current range for the rate at which it's currently moving is right about $12 to $13 for support. So it has a very, very narrow range. We did see that on Thursday, we got a dollar sign telling us that, hey, you should have been taking profit if you were shorting this guy. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to an uptrend. That means we're now trying to see if we can have another candle that pushes up that will allow the trend top to expand and cross over our compass line. Let's go take a look at Doge, because last week our thing was make sure you get out of Doge, and it did not disappoint. From the 14th, where we talked about it, and it was 16, 17 cents, it's lost about a penny from where we were. And we're basically just seeing where it's going to go next. Nothing is lit up, but we do see that the tide is slowly turning. Now the RSI is on, and the arbitrage band both favor a continual sell-off on Doge, and Doge basically has a probability basically a bottom out 3 standard deviations on the RSI line, then about 10 cents. And if things get really ugly, bottoming out somewhere near around 2. Fortunately, the smaller time frame should hold us up, allowing us to maintain a 14 or so cent valuation. So please keep your eye on that. Also, unfortunately, Friday, that momentum line crossed underneath the RSI line on our arbitrage band on our daily time frame, confirming that we are, in fact, in a sell trend for the arbitrage band. So now we have to see if this will spread to the novice band and beyond. So watch it very carefully if you're trying to play Doge in the up direction. Hopefully you got out of Dodge or Doge. Let's go take a look at, let's get off these cryptos and go look at some stocks and see what and where we're going. Meanwhile, AutoZone also confirmed that basically Thursday that we are in a confirmed sell trend, even with the weeks of pull down that we got from all the way up here when it was 32.29, it is still falling. We got dollar signs here. We were able to hold the mean line because up until this candle, this guy was sitting up there, but that huge volatility down that happened on Monday, followed by 4 days of up, did in fact expand probability, but overall, the trend top and trend bottom are still facing downward. We are unfortunately still being herded to the Apocalypse Band, which still has that 2467 valuation. So looking at that and looking at this on a much macro scale, we're going to go to our Apocalypse Band on our daily time frame and see that where these candles are pretty far from that red center line. I'm expecting us to currently hold around 26.55 for AutoZone over the next few months, possibly all of 2024. Because as long as the trend bottom is above that line, we have the possibility and chance of staying above that support line. Once again, 26.52. But since we did switch to securities, I just want to inform everyone, I'm not a financial advisor. So therefore, this should not count as financial advice. Please seek the duly licensed financial advisor when you're seeking financial advice. All right, let's go take a look at international paper. International paper had a nice rally. And if you guys were following, when we broke over, so when the compass broke over this this dark purple line, roughly November 30th of 2023, and it was sitting at $34, it made it over. It even made it over the pulse line, which is basically what decides our big trends. And it was the first time it's made it over that line since it crossed under in February of 2022. So where we are now, we are back above. Looks like we're doing a retest. So what I want to see is we're technically in the best time to buy window for international paper. And that also aligns with what I've been hearing. So what I've been hearing is that basically international paper may have had a new CEO or CIO. I think they're basically changing their management. If that is true, if that rumor is true, then there's a possibility that international paper may find new things and new leadership that should be able to guide it and bring it into a new possible uptrend for its stocks and its stockholders. Let's take a look at U.S. Steel. Threats of war, lots of bad stuff happening. Still basically topped out as we talked about it in December. We got those crosses letting us know that that was a top. We went out of probability on our Apocalypse Band, which so rarely happens that we actually draw crosses up there when it happens, and it does it automatically. So I don't draw these crosses. The indicators literally draw everything that we do and talk about. So now we see that the compass and momentum line are pretty much fixated, are wrapped within the trend top and trend bottom, and unfortunately still has been in a free fall for the last 5 or 6 days, as that X that appeared Monday clearly shows. So from where we are, where should we find support, or where should we look for support? Nothing is forcing us to go and to find support currently, but from where we're free falling, the next free falling support is about 34.11. Looking at the RSI band, look at that Z Pro is about 66% exhausted. Anytime we reach about 70%, we usually expect a turnaround. So it's pretty close, but it's not quite there yet. So keep your eye on the ball. And if it were to get back above 40.90, there is a good opportunity, or a good chance, if it can break back above that, that we should be able to see 53.52 somewhere before the end of the year. If it cannot get back above that 40.90 valuation, our first line of defense is 34.11. All right, let's go take a look at Amazon, because everyone wanted Amazon to go up. However, Thursday, the 11th of April, we got dollar signs letting us know that it was in free fall. We have not seen our red X yet, but we are expecting it. I'm going to take a look, and typically we can see where we got our first X letting us know it was time to buy. And the last X that we got that told it was time to buy, Amazon was about 128. So it's been one crazy ride, and we still haven't gotten the red X to tell us it was time to go yet. So if you're using the system to just play from X to X, there's nothing wrong with that. Play the micro trends and win. Also seeing, when I talk about that 70%, looks like the RSI band is wanting a bounce near here. So let's see if it actually does in the very near future. Blue is fighting very, very hard to keep its nose above water. It bottomed out, had a nice surge that got up to about $5, and then said, nope, can't hold that. Wanted to get above that pink line, but it wasn't in the cards just yet. The next attempt, if blue is to make an attempt at it, is about 277. This guy used to be a behemoth, topping out at about 125, I think even 185 in the distant future. But for the sell trend to continue, it says that a rally must happen. So look for a possible breakout in blue in the very near future, if you're using our indicators to gauge your entry and your exit. Let's go take a look. I'm going to actually, because this is a penny stock more or less, to see where the 4-hour time frame is. It's not quite there, and the trend top, trend bottom is definitely still underneath. I'm going to go to a 30-minute time frame and see if we see anything good. No, basically it's setting up a perfect storm. If you notice, there's a coiling that's happening. So this pink line on all the time frames are coiling, trying to basically make room for a gap up or a move up. The trick is, or the anticipation is, how much of a gap up can it get? From where we currently are, the trend top and trend bottom saying even if you did explode, your max out is somewhere between 130 and 170 based on the 1 minute and 5 minute charts. That means even if it were to get a massive breakout, 30 to 70% is the range of profit if you're willing and are brave enough to brave these waters. This guy looks pretty tight for a very nice spring, but please be aware and please be careful when deciding to play anything that's in the biomedical or biotechnology field. Meanwhile, the S&P 500, as it falls, it continues to fall. If you had put options, maybe the 4th of April was probably the best time to put 519 strike price out there and just wait. because if you did, you would have no complaints. $100 option possibly could have made you $2,000, and all you had to do was wait. And that's intrinsic value, not even extrinsic value, as volatility starts to improve and increase the value of that option. So where are we today? What's going on? Well, in order for the sell trend to continue on this time frame, using the 30-minute time frame, we're sitting at about 497 to 500 is where it needs to get back up to. So that's about $4 higher from where we are. So if you are playing options, remember, time is money. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Make sure you take that profit. Also, from where we are, there is a potential of us finding longer term support around 492, 493 based on our dashboard indicator. So if you are trying to squeeze out every penny, please be careful. If you're trying to basically get in before anyone else does, please be careful. We're looking for our trend top to potentially make it over the orbit line in our system at 507. That means just probability making it over there, not necessarily the candles. But if we get a large uptick, that should allow probability to expand. We are literally riding the edge of probability on our 30-minute time frame for this huge band. So please be careful if you're still trying to ride this guy down. There may not be a lot more down in him, but there may be some. So it means I'm expecting at the very beginning of the week just a slight uplift for SPY because it has been falling literally since the very beginning of April. And hopefully it will not end April in this way. But if it does, rest assured, we are prepared and we'll keep you posted as the forecast does change. Looking at QQQ, the same is true. We're riding outside of probability on this 30-minute time frame. And anytime you ride outside of probability for the band, not just a trend top and trend bottom, there are consequences to pay. So I'm expecting as this fall is happening, notice the trend top is slowly making its way above. If this trend top can make it above that pink line, we may have a short incoming rally that could possibly give us 4 or 5% from where we currently are. So please keep your eyes peeled as this next week unfolds. IWM, some people have wanted IWM to basically 205, 206 is going to be just the beginning. It's going to hit, 2 whatever, but basically it came just short of that 2 whatever. So 213 was a theoretical top that we had around the end of March, and it fell short. And once it fell short, it continued to fall. So for the sell trend, new continue, we do need it to rise back up to about 194 to get back within bounds. But from where we are, that huge rise, if it rises too quickly to that point, it's going to deflect right off our orbit, giving us our next leg down. So please be aware, please be cognizant. The only band that is saying an uptrend is in progress for IWM is on our 30-minute chart using our arbitrage band. And if anyone wants to see that, I'll say go that way right now to show you what it's saying. So it's saying, yes, there is a little bit, that last 30 minutes of the day, there is a little bit of a uptrend. So please be careful if you're trying to play. Remember, on a 30-minute time frame, an arbitrage band may be good for a day, maybe 2 at max. So please be careful. All right, looking at the VIX, because everyone likes the VIX. The VIX exploded. So it exploded on Friday at about 2 a.m., got all the way up to 21. And basically, when it got to 21, it said, sorry, we're overbought. So pre-market Thursday going into Friday, and this gap up that we got on Friday morning at 210 when it opened was short-lived, but it also said that because of that, we should be getting a slowdown in volatility coming in the next few days. So I am expecting a little bit of an updraft on the Qs, IWM, and SPY going into the beginning of this week. So let's just see what happens, shall we? We do see, because of that huge uptick, notice right before that uptick, the trend bottom was nowhere near crossing underneath this RSI line. So with that being said, because of that uptick and because of that increase in volatility, I'm expecting volatility to slowly dwindle, which should allow the market to overall have a little bit of a gain. Looking further at this, we're going to go to real estate, and then we're going to quickly look at our bread and butter of the Forex market to tell us where we're going in the near future. From where we are, real estate basically did hit a bottoming point around 2214, and it's trying its best to pick itself up. Once again, the trend top has to basically not shrink. So it means if it's going to move, it needs to move quickly, which should allow the band to expand. If it moves faster than the band is expanding, that's no good for anyone, because that just will mean that we will ultimately just fall. So with that in mind, please keep your eye on your real estate. And basically, if you're in real estate or trying to buy real estate, or if you're a real estate agent, basically keep your eye on the numbers to decide if and when you're going to make whatever move you're going to make. But notice across the board, real estate is not doing well. Even the intermediate band is saying, no, we're sitting at 84%, which means there should be some bounce coming. But the question is, will it be fast or slow? If it's too fast, we fall again. If it's too slow, we still fall. So basically, we need a rising momentum, basically a slight acceleration as we approach the current barriers to allow us to take off just like an airplane. Okay, let's go take a look at that Forex market and the US dollar. Once again, be very grateful and thankful for what you have. A lot of people have been saying, okay, the dollar has had nice run, but looks like it's topping, and potentially it is. So let's go turn on our daily and our weekly on our Atlas indicator, which is represented by the daily, is represented by triangles. The weekly is represented by the recycle symbol. So with that turned on, I'm going to basically see what we see. And hopefully on the daily, we had basically that we started another uptrend on March 21st, and it's still in progress. On the weekly, it started even before then, so we were sitting at about 102. At the very beginning of January, it said, no, we're about to begin an uptrend. The daily was a little confused, going backwards and forwards, but ultimately, by the time we got to the top of this band, just when we thought it was all over, daily and weekly and 4-hour all said, yes, we're going up and it's going to continue. But like with anything, nothing ever goes straight up. So the 4-hour time frame had to do a little adjusting, and that black line had to make it from the top to the bottom. But notice it didn't fall as far as it had risen. And then it basically said, okay, let's do that again. Now, since we are now juxtaposed or eclipsing this RSI line on this 4-hour time frame, I am expecting just a little bit of a pullback on the dollar, maybe back to around 105.80. But as long as this RSI line does not get on top of this trend top, I'm still seeing a very bright future for the US dollar. So I do want to see some down going into Sunday/Monday, maybe even Tuesday, but ultimately I do want to see the dollar continue up. From where we are, there's not much more room up, because guess what? Just like we did in 2022, if we get too close to the very edge of probability, it doesn't like that. So at 114, it recoiled, and basically we've been reaping the rewards of that recoil for almost 2 years. So let's see if it can push, but once again, take off like an airplane. The problem is there is a barrier sitting on the apocalypse band at 104.40. So everyone is still green field except the novice band saying, hey, we're above 76%. You might want to take a little bit of profit if you are currently playing any of these U pairs versus the dollar. AU, NU, NU, GJ, GU, USD, JPY, all these other pairs. Make sure that if you're in a position that you can sit on the sidelines for just a minute, it might be very prudent going into Sunday/Monday, maybe even Tuesday. Okay, Let's go take a look at NZD USD. We do have on this time frame the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour time frame all saying yes, we're going into a current new sell trend on NZD USD. But with that being said, we are running out of probability. Right before we got this sell signal, Thursday of this week, we got dollar signs saying, hey, it might be time to go. We may be pushing our luck. So looking at this on the weekly time frame, we do see that we are in a sell trend overall on the weekly. Now, the question is, will this compass line break back underneath this RSI line and allow us to continue going? A slight nudge could basically push us in that direction, but let's see what happens overall. Looks like there's heavy support, 1 minute all the way to 4-hour time frame, right about 58.4 to 58.6. So basically where we currently are is only about 20 to 30 pips more to the downside. So please be careful until we get confirmation that it will cross. If it doesn't cross, then more than likely it will bounce. All right, going up to our monthly time frame. This is still business as usual. I'm going to turn back off these triangles on our Atlas indicator and these recycles so we can see a little bit more of the chart on the monthly time frame. So literally since the compass and momentum crossed under in November of 2022, NZD USD has been selling off. There has been some ups and downs, and it's gotten as low as 55.725, but not much lower. So overall, NZD USD is in an overall sell trend, but how long can it last? Looking at AUD, looking at AUD USD, the same is true. We got overbought going into January of 01 when it made it back up to 68-ish cents. It's back down to 64. The question is, how much lower can it go? We're sitting right on top of the trend bottom on the monthly time frame. So let's walk this backwards to see how much room we have. On the weekly, we are to confirm, take that back. Using our pre-warning system, we're in a sell trend, but looking at the blue line for AUD USD, which is the compass line on our weekly time frame, it has not crossed underneath. So if we have another push, hard push to the downside, that may give us a confirming sell trend on the weekly time frame, aligning it with the monthly. But so far, that is not the case. So right now, the weekly at best is sideways. The monthly is still all overall in a sell trend, and the daily is overall in the sell trend. It just needs to cool off a bit before going further. And for the sell trend to continue, it says you may want to try to get back up to 67 cents roughly. And that's a very large jump from where we are, almost 300 pips in the wrong direction if you're trying to play this down as a sell trend. The longer you trade, the longer trend typically wins, but the patience and the daily finance fees are the things that will kill you. So please be careful if you are playing this guy as a sell. If you're playing this guy as a day trade, let's go take a look down there real quick. And currently, it is at market close, it is still in the sell, and we're trying to see if this red line will make it underneath. I mean, this blue and red line will make it underneath the mean line here. I do not like what I'm currently seeing here, and that's basically he's bowing. So let me actually go up to one band bigger than the Apocalypse Band, which is our Infinity Band, to see what's going on there. So basically, he's still moving, and so that means this will actually let me bring in control into this analysis as well. So I'm going to bring in control, and I'm going to put it on the Apocalypse Band, and I'm trying to see if the band is moving faster than the line or vice versa. So in doing that, looks like the pink line is just barely has a positive pull, which means it is still pulling to the top. However, what's basically going to stop us is the fact that there is a hard ceiling sitting about 64.57. So there's about 40 to 50 pips to the top side. And if we're looking down, there is about 150-ish pips to the downside. So please be aware of that. If it breaks under that support, and that support for me is about 64.13, look out below because things could definitely get more volatile in the near future. All right. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next time.